and pick the country you want to pick, but they're concerned about that, and they don't like the idea of indefinite detention in Guantanamo Bay for existing terrorists either. So while you may be, while you may be against it and they may be against it, the reasons that you're against it and they're against it are two vastly different things.
Right. I mean, our views kind of transected. They're opposing that bill for different reasons,
but they're not parallel in any way.
But then you get blasted for being, someone that's dangerous to the country, but because you're trying to uphold the Constitution. And lots of people know me. They know what a hardcore conservative I am and how I really believe in our Constitution. And they just laugh when they hear that attack to people that know me. But, that's part of the challenge is there's a lot of people in this district, and many of them, don't know me yet because it's hard to battle, that big money. But, we're working hard. We're putting out flyers, many flyers and radio shows like this one, getting the message out. So we just continue to work, and we're getting a lot of support around the district when people hear the message.
Got it. Hey, listen, we got to take a break because this is Capitalism in Action here on the radio. And, folks, we've got Bob Parker with us this morning. Our phone numbers are 257-1111 and 866-554-6636 if you've got some questions for Bob. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, actually, I want to talk about two things. One is the NRA, because I understand that, I want to chat about that NRA endorsement issue. And then I want to talk a little bit more about this NDAA because there's a new provision in the upcoming NDAA that I have serious concerns with, and that is the ability for the federal government to use propaganda against us. And again, they're doing it under the cover and under the guise of an American flag draped over us. They're calling this a patriotic thing. They passed this stuff, folks, in the NDAA because that is the bill that pays our troops. But then they shovel all this dirt in there and then say, well, if you don't support it, then you don't support paying our troops. That is a flat-out lie. And I'm here to tell you that it's time for you, as a listener, to get on the phone and make it clear that under no circumstances can they have anything to do with propaganda in the new NDAA bill. We fell for that crap the first time. It handed us indefinite detention. And so we cannot take that chance again. We're going to be right back with Bob Parker and... 2 minutes. Bye. That, folks, is Bruce Springsteen's Run. And that's exactly what Bob Parker is doing. He is running for Congress. He's here with us this morning. And he's going to talk to us a little bit about his candidacy and what that means for the state of Missouri and our nation in general. So we're back from the break. Our telephone numbers are 257-1111 and 866-554-6636. If you have a question that you'd like to ask of Bob, by all means, pick up the telephone and give us a call. So tell me a little bit about this NRA endorsement issue.
Well, I've been an NRA member all my life, and I get the Rifleman, and I've got an American Hunter in the past, and I am a big hunter myself. But, a lot of things, a lot of NRA members don't understand how the endorsement process works. The NRA is a single-issue endorser, and they endorse gun-friendly incumbents.
Regardless of what, as a matter of fact, I think they endorsed Harry Reid, right?
They endorsed Harry Reid last time, yeah. So if you've got a good record on your gun votes, and that's, I'm a big Second Amendment supporter, so,
right.
That's a good thing. But you can basically vote for communism on all your other votes, and you'll still get an NRA endorsement if you're an incumbent. And that's, Mrs. Emerson has that big orange sign on her Emerson signs all across the district, but I have an A rating with the NRA, and I'm a hardcore gun guy. I'm a supporter. I'm a shooter. I own a lot of guns, and they'll, if they want to take my gun, I'll give them the ammo first, and they can pry it out of my cold dead hands, hot and smoking, is how I feel about the Second Amendment. So, I just want people to realize that just because that big orange NRA endorsement is across somebody's sign doesn't mean they're exactly the person you want in Congress representing you.
I gotcha. Well, the UN with our small arms treaty has just supported the removal of all firearms and ammunition from Venezuela under Chavez. They've banned the sale and the transfer of firearms and ammunition, and the UN is supporting this. Now,
the UN is not our friend. I say we need to get out of the UN. I've never heard Jo Ann Emerson ever say we need to get out of the UN. I say get out of the UN right now, ASAP.
Yeah, not to mention the fact that we provide, I think it's about 60% of the financial support through taxpayer money for a group that, in my opinion, is working 100% against us. We are funding the enemy, folks.
Exactly.
Not to mention the fact that their Agenda 21 project, which, they're not even hiding anymore. And if you don't know what Agenda 21 is, get onto your computer, get to a browser, type in Agenda 21, and educate yourself.
Yeah, and that's a huge issue, and I've spoken many times about Agenda 21. As a matter of fact, the Heritage Area takeover of Howell County and surrounding counties, 13 counties, was part of Agenda 21, basically to regulate people out of their businesses and off the land so they can't farm and run their businesses. And people have to wake up. But, a lot of, our elected officials don't, many of them never talk about Agenda 21, probably don't know anything about Agenda 21, but it's coming through all the federal and state agencies. They have plans for what you have, folks, and when I get to Congress, that'll be a huge part of what I do up there is expose these kinds of things that are destroying our freedom.
That Agenda 21 scares the heck out of me because basically their goal is to get people out of rural America and gathered together in these hubs of population, and basically their end game is to leave the vast majority of the country unpopulated and leave it wild, if you will.
Well, and the Ozarks is right in the crosshairs of Agenda 21. They really would like to see this region really depopulated, get the elk and the bears and the mountain lions running around in here and get the people out of here. And that's, people may laugh about that, but do the research and what they're doing. They really are in the process of regulating us to death here.
Right. Well, they're doing it through the EPA, and they're doing it sideways because they know that if they came right out and tried to get this stuff done legislatively, that they'd get shot down. So what ends up happening is they do it through all of these unaccountable, unelected agencies. And that's what scares me is that, these people have no oversight because, it's like the healthcare law, right? They passed this crazy healthcare law. It's 2,500 pages. They've written 10,000 pages of legislation tied to it, and it's being written by a bunch of people who aren't accountable and have no electability. They're not elected. And so we can't even fire them if we don't like what they're doing.
Well, and we have, another way they're doing is all these regional governments. We have Skokog up here north of town, and, Skokog does some nice things, but they're implementing Agenda 21. These regional governments they have all across the state, they're bypassing our system of people in the legislature voting and debating these kinds of things, and they're doing grants and everything and going around our process, and it's implementing socialism all across Missouri and across our country.
I actually go one step further than you, Bob. We are not heading towards socialism, folks. We're heading towards fascism. Caller, welcome to the show. Come on in.
I just wanted to let you know that not everybody has access to internet. So please quit saying, go to the internet, go to the internet, go to the internet.
Yeah.
Tell me what's going on.
Okay, I get your question. What you're saying is not you're on a mobile phone or something. Everybody doesn't have internet, so when I say go to the internet, that's the problem with my trying to tell you to go to I can't tell you to go to the New York Times because they're not going to tell you the truth. I can't tell you to go to the Wall Street Journal. I can't tell you to read the local newspaper because they're not going to tell you the truth.